Welcome to Goodwood, a show about board games. Today I'm reviewing Cosmic Encounter. Is it going to stay on my shelf, or should I send it into orbit? Let's find out. Cosmic Encounter is a negotiation game for 3 to 5 players. You play as an alien battling for control over the universe. The winner is the player who obtains 5 foreign colonies, which means having your ships on 5 planets belonging to the other players. The game consists of battles called encounters. When it's your turn, you follow a set sequence of phases, as shown on the bottom of this card. Briefly, what happens is, you draw a card which determines which other player you're going to have an encounter with. You choose one of their planets to attack, and then send between 1 and 4 ships. Both sides then invite other players around the table to join them as allies. If players choose to ally, they contribute extra ships to their chosen side of the battle. Then, the 2 players in the encounter choose a card from their hand to play. These numbered cards are called encounter cards. They reveal them at the same time, and the winner is the side with the highest number of combined ships, plus whatever number they played on their card. For example, in this encounter, blue wins with a total of 20 versus red's 12. If the defending player wins the encounter, they get to keep their planet, and the attacking ships are all sent to the warp, meaning they are lost. However, if the attacking side win, the defender loses their ships on their home planet, and the attacker gets a foreign colony, making them one step closer to winning. That's the heart of the game, which is fairly simple, but there are 3 important complications in Cosmic Encounter. Firstly, the cards are not just limited to numbered encounter cards that you play in the battle itself. There are the negotiation cards. These can be played instead of a number during the encounter. If both sides play a negotiation card, they then have 1 minute to agree on a deal that has to involve exchange of some kind of item. Other cards include Flare and Artifact cards, which give you a useful immediate effect like recovering your lost ships from the warp, and Reinforcement cards, which even allies can play to add value to your side's score after the encounter cards have been revealed. Remember I said earlier that allies can either help the attacking or the defending side. If allies choose the wrong side, they will lose their ships as well. So what's their incentive to help? Well, if they win on the attacking side, they also get a foreign colony. Remember, 5 foreign colonies and you win. But if they win on the defending side, they get more cards. Just cards. That doesn't seem great compared to foreign colonies. Well, the problem is, cards are hard to get. You don't just get more cards every turn. You do get to redraw your hand if you run out of encounter cards at the beginning of your turn, but you don't get a turn very often in Cosmic Encounter. The third and final complication that I'm going to describe is the biggest one, your alien power. This is the best part of Cosmic Encounter. At the beginning of the game, each player is assigned a special alien character. Note, role-playing is optional. And this gives you a special ability which breaks the core rules of the game. Some of them can be ludicrous, such as the loser, who wins encounters by having the lowest score rather than the highest. Your alien power also creates stakes. If a player ever loses presence on more than 3 of their home planets, they also lose their alien power. This gives defenders even more reason to protect their planets from foreign invasion. So what do I think of Cosmic Encounter? Here's what I like. This is a pure negotiation game. With the right players, it's a raucous experience where you're constantly begging people to join your side. It works for several reasons. Firstly, the game rules are geared towards making negotiation interesting. One example requires us to revisit the negotiation cards, which are more powerful than they look. If you play a negotiation card in an encounter, but horror, your opponent doesn't, you will lose your ships. But for the number you lose, you gain in cards from the opponent's hand. This is called compensation, and it might make people second guess betraying you. The second reason Cosmic Encounter works so well is because it tests your alliances. Remember I said at the beginning of the rules explanation that on your turn, who you attack is designated by the Destiny deck. You don't get to choose. What if the red player has been helping you throughout the whole game, but then you draw them on your turn and they're now your target? You could attempt to maintain your alliance by both playing negotiation cards and agreeing to a deal. But what if one of you doesn't have a negotiation card to play? Or what if one of you doesn't want to? Cosmic Encounter is about trust. Trusting that your ally will help you with the card that they promised that they have. Trusting that your opponent will use their alien ability when they promised they would. The game is also infinitely replayable, not only because of the endless number of alien combinations and therefore special ability interactions, but more importantly, this is a social experience. I can remember all my previous games and what happened, who was betrayed, who formed alliances, who had that crazy special ability that works so well with someone else's. My favourite times playing board games has been playing Cosmic Encounter. But where I think this game does the most right is in its finale, because Cosmic Encounter can be won by multiple players. A common criticism of backstabby games like Game of Thrones the board game is that because there's only one winner, alliances are destined to fail, and betrayal is not a matter of if, but when. In Cosmic Encounter, if a team plays their cards right, they can win together. But if a team chooses to betray one another at the last moment, they can also do that too. The game giving players the choice to decide this is what generates dramatic endings. Admittedly, I'm aware that this game is not for everyone. Firstly, there's quite a lot of luck. You can't really control what cards you get, and it can be frustrating if you feel like you have bad cards for most of the game. But I would argue that a bad hand of cards is surmountable by good allying choices. There are also cards like Card Zap, which negate someone else's card. This is a feature of board games known as Take That, which describes confrontational and often unpredictable ways of besting an opponent, the equivalents of Deus Ex Machina in films. These cards can be irritating if they reverse the outcome of an encounter, but it doesn't annoy me, because Cosmic Encounter is not about strategic card play, it's more about the table talk and deal making. It's also not a game for quieter players who don't like direct competition, and this game can genuinely test real life friendships, if people choose to not help or gang up on people for no particular reason. Another issue is that there are loads of little phases and complex card interactions. The game experience is significantly more smooth and enjoyable if you have someone who knows the game well to help move it along, such as if the alliance phase is taking too long. And finally, I feel that the player count is best at 4 or 5. 3 just isn't enough. With expansions you can go to 6 or higher, but with these numbers it's easier for people to lose interest. But for me, I have to admit, Cosmic Encounter is my favourite game, of all time. I'll never turn a game down, and with the right people it can't be beaten. Cosmic Encounter has many expansions, most of which add more aliens to the game, and are usually an additional component to the game. The only one I'm going to mention is Cosmic Incursion. If you're going to get one, get this. It has the rewards deck, which adds a whole new deck of wonderful cards that you can only draw from if you ally as a defender, which makes doing this even more attractive. I always play with it. If you like the idea of Cosmic Encounter, but want something a little simpler, I recommend Chinatown. But if you want a significant step up, I recommend Cole Worley's Pax Pamir 2nd Edition, or John Company 2nd Edition. But warning, these are big step ups. They're not pure negotiation games, they have a lot more going on. Thanks for watching. Goodwood is not sponsored by any board game companies, and all games reviewed are purchased by myself. If you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe to the channel. See you next time.